not some fancy, expensive vehicle, but the Renault Clio is the most sold car in Europe, once again in the first half of 2025. And we have it here in the all-new generation because, after all, still people buy a small combustion engine in the masses. And that's why this review is so important for so many car buyers. The all-new generation of the Renault Clio that now looks like a small Jaguar, but from the time where the Jaguar still looked amazing. Or don't you think so as well? So you buy a small, affordable vehicle, but actually I think it looks stunning. Everything you need to know about the new generation of the Clio now with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with this new front. Again, as I said, really sporty, new Renault logo styling also integrated. And then the small Renault logos inside the front grille. So nice design clue here in the very striking red color. Daytime running light as this span here in the lower part. This is also where the turning indicator appears. And really sporty also these indentations here on the front hood. Then the length is now about 7 centimeters or 3 inches longer than the previous generation at 4 meters and 12 round and 162 inches. 16-inch wheels would be standard. These are the 18-inch wheels. High trim level Esprit Alpine, and then also in the high trim the wheel arches are painted here, high gloss black. Base would be a matte styling, and you get here the Esprit Alpine badge as well. So a sporty side profile as well, where we have this design effect here, really sharp, and there are the rear doors attached. Of course, soon more about the interior. In this trim you also have the high gloss black top bumper here and really modern tail lamps. This looks like from a concept car, but it is a full series production car. So yeah, pretty cool that they went this daring way in the design here for a car that matters to so many people and even serves as a just first vehicle, as an entry-level vehicle, also for a lot of young people, for example. And then we have, by the way, here the trunk button is really hidden here. You know, you really have to grab deeply in here, and soon we'll also give you details about it. And then here, this badge here says E-Tech Hybrid. What does it mean? This one is the hybrid version, new hybrid version, very, very interesting. Now in the acceleration figure at 8.3 seconds. And let's take a look under the hood, because this petrol hybrid here is from a 1.8 liter four-cylinder. Is considering nowadays figure, it's actually quite large for a small vehicle then. And there we go, quickly take a look under the hood. And of course then with an automatic gearbox, all front wheel drive and 158 horsepower. And they promise a consumption of 3.9 liters on 100 kilometers. That's the official figure. We have to see how it is then in real life. As soon as we can drive the car for you, we'll keep you updated. And if you want to keep it lower in the price, there's also an entry-level engine, 115 horsepower, from a 1.2 liter three-cylinder engine, also front-wheel drive. And that one you can pick between manual or automatic. Now towards the interior here, I want to show you this detail here at the outside of the doors. So there's no frame in the lower part. That's very interesting. We have a frame here on the top part in black here in the Esprit Alpine trim. But do you see this design trick? Here it looks really special because we have the round here, like the rounded structure here at the door, and then there is no lower frame. And that makes also very special, sleek design in the side profile. Don't you think that it's interesting as well? And now to the doors here, opening the doors. Let's take a look at let's listen to the doors closing sound. It looks, yeah, pretty cool and also sounds really nice. Really rich sound also from the rear and the front. So yeah, and also very small and even panel gaps. Then inside of the doors, here this is then the hard pack material. It is structured somewhat at least, and here we have a leatherette. This could be a little bit softer though for the elbow. This is pretty cool, this detail. It's a nice ambient lighting integration. And then in the Esprit Alpine trim we have microfiber from the inside with a blue stitching. Classic window lever control and also classic controls for the side mirrors. You have to mention that these days because more and more manufacturers make it more complicated, but here it's easy. Then no covering from the inside of the doors, all hard packed then here. Alpine entry badge here for the Esprit Alpine trim, and I like the floor mats because we have the logo then here on the inside of the floor mats. And then steering wheel is like in the Renault R5, for example, in the Esprit Alpine, once again with microfiber inside, that's cool. Animal-free materials, the high-grade leather feels really cool, and real buttons still at the steering wheel for the speed of the cruise control. Right side, for example, here to control some of the digital instruments, to scroll them through. Soon more details. That's very interesting. Look at that here. It's like a color transition inside this air vents. Now that looks really fancy, right? Unusual, but cool. Then the seats. They are a mix of fabric on the inside, leatherette on the outside here, and then again this sporty atmosphere. Maybe reminds you maybe of some like a little bit of vintage design, I would say. And these sports, let's take a look if they are also comfortable. And so far here with 189, 6'2", these head restraints are of course adjustable as well. And it's actually a decent comfort. We have to see also how this fabric performs in summertime, and also maybe in a later stage we can take a look at the lower trim level where we also have different seats and so on. So we keep you updated on that as soon as we can show you more. And here with 189 602, there's still some headroom left to this gray ceiling here, and steering wheel up and down, in and out, manual way. And when we soon switch to the cockpit perspective, I also want to talk about a lot of manufacturers reduce everything and put everything in the screen, but here we have still so many stalks around the steering wheel. And very important to know here, left side of the steering wheel, press this button here twice, and then you reach your personal settings here for example, for the assistance systems and so on. And so you just have to press it twice, and when you set the correct settings before in the infotainment system, then you can easily deactivate, for example, this EU speed chime warning. So pressing this twice every time when you start up the vehicle, and then all of the like annoying beeping stuff is shut down. And now the front cockpit, defined by two 10-inch screens. They form one unit, soon more deals to that. On top of that, I can actually also shut it down, or also plus and minus to change the volume on top of the screen here. The alternative would be all these stalks here, as I mentioned. For example, here the lower typical Renault stalk for volume minus and plus and switching the music titles. Wipers, this is then the gear selection here. Drive B mode also for the hybrid here, and left side then classic for the light and also for the turning indicators, for example. Esprit Alpine trim with microfiber dashboard here, that looks cool, and some ambient lighting. Top part then is hardpack. Glove box is also somewhat a little bit dampened, not too large, and to me very important, real buttons for the climate unit. And listen to that, Audi. Real clicking sounds, but at least you've maybe seen our recent Audi concept preview. The clicking sounds will also return to Audi. But Renault has listened and now does the Audi clicking sound for the climate unit. So that's pretty cool. A similar cockpit also, as we've seen from the Renault R5, but this one and here the combustion engine model, of course. Interesting also the lower part with two USB-C chargers. Then there's also inductive charging. This is not ventilated though. And then interesting middle console, like what is this? It's also some kind of vintage design, like a segmented opening for the cup holders. Like here, they are not adaptive though. It looks...
Imagine you have your hot pumpkin spice latte and then you need to open that first. I don't know.
Yeah, so Leah is suggesting that it looks fancy. It even has like a microfiber from the background. So it's really fancy. It's high quality.
Materials are very
but
nice.
the question is if it's that practicable or handy.
In my phone,
and then it's so I think nice idea. Yeah, but maybe not that useful. Then here, could be a little bit softer for your elbow. And here we can open this rather small box, then kind of slim, but still some more storage there. And there you can take one more look at these sporty seats here as well. You can also see it better when you put up the head restraint. It's like this bow you know, in the design. And we just begin to discover all the details about this. Look at this. So first of all, this is
magnetic.
It's magnetic. Look at here. You can make it like this, or even like this. Then you don't have it flying around here. So this would be an alternative. So yeah, just found out that's actually a magnetic. So maybe like this, or you can make your cup holders a little bit adaptive, maybe by this. So yeah, you can find your best possible solution for this folding mechanism. Now the driver's perspective here, digital instruments. With this multi-sense button, you can switch through the different driving modes, and then also the whole design is changing here. For example, to green. Sport mode, I would expect it to turn red. Ta-da! And it's red. Yeah, you can play around with that. Throttle input is changing and so on. And you can also change the whole style here. For example, with the button at the steering wheel, where you want to have the speed like this. So this is all possible, and also with an integrated map. And it's integrated Google Maps. That's actually also quite fancy. Switch over to the main infotainment system. As I said here, the climate unit. You can see it then in the lower part, what you do there. Like this, and then here you can also theoretically switch the driving modes, but it's of course better to do it at the steering wheel, or more convenient. You have this home menu right here where you can directly access also Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Then there's this menu with the map. Here once again integrated Google Maps, so that's cool. So you don't have to use it in your smartphone, but of course if you want to connect Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, it's available, wired or wireless. And best greetings also from Leah, who stood up very early today to make this shooting here for you.
Without a matcha latte.
Oh, and she did not have a matcha latte in the morning. So yeah, that's all for you guys. Some more details here. These lights in the front, when the doors are closed, are with touch. And then here the sun visor. Light automatically goes on then here when you open the mirror. Feel comfortable in the seats?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Very
it's
nice.
good, proof.
Yeah.
Next road trip? Maybe in a bigger car, yeah?
Maybe small road trip.
Yeah, small road trip, yes. Rear doors here. This is all hard pack, simple to keep the price low. Yeah, I mean, in this segment, at that price, I think we can understand that. Then rear seats, same as in the front. The fabric, and here in the Esprit Alpine with the leather red here, also with this sporty design elements. There is also a middle seat here with a separate head restraint. Of course, the space is somewhat limited, but considering its exterior length, I can still sit here as a tall adult when a tall adult is in the front. So this is actually astonishing. And here with the headroom, with 189/62, it exactly fits. And we also have some small lamps right here, for example. So that's fancy. When the doors are closed, you can also activate or deactivate them on demand. And I think it's also really nice to have this gray fabric ceiling on the interior. Of course, not the most luxury comfort here in the rear, but again, considering the exterior length, you still have decent space on the inside here. Let's take a look at the trunk. As I said here, it's hard to find. It's really deep in there. So let's open it here. 390 liters. And here this one also fits vertically. Then we have a meter or 40 inches in width here in the trunk, and the normal length in the lower part is 72 centimeters or about 28 inches. I already folded 2/3 here. It's 2/3, 1/3 split. You have to go around to do that. And then here the length to the front seats is 54 inches or 1 meters 38. So yeah, so overall I think for a small car, still very usable. Or what do you think? By the way, also a very good closing sound here of the trunk. This one, of course, here basic materials, but then just listen to the closing sound. I think the most important aspect is really the exterior design for now, because as I said, so many expensive new fancy vehicles are on the market, but who is supposed to buy them? Not everyone can or wants to afford a super expensive vehicle. So I'm even more glad that there's a vehicle out there that is in the entry-level segment, small car segment, but that already looks stunning, you know, so you can drive it as maybe like done your driver's license and want to have something fancy, but at the same time you don't have the biggest budget and so on, and this could be a good alternative. So that's pretty cool actually. So I really like this small Jaguar from France, so to speak. Built in Turkey, by the way. This is where they have a huge Renault plant. Once again, this one is built there. And overall, 17 million units have been sold from the Renault Clio so far throughout the generations, making it the most sold French car ever in history. That's also pretty fancy, isn't it? I think they also did a nice job with the interior. Of course, at some point you also see that they had to keep the price low, but especially when you look at steering wheel, seats, and all animal free, you also get something modern, have the infotainment system with all the functionalities you need. And I think it does have quite some space considering its short length on the exterior. So overall, I think if you look at the small car segment, this one will be definitely one of the hot picks. Looking forward to if the full hybrid will really have that low of the consumption. That will be super interesting, and soon we can then also drive this car for you and then also keep you updated with all the prices, because very often at the time of the reveal, it's not out yet. They will be somewhat at today's prices. The hybrid may be a little bit more expensive, but we'll keep you updated with the prices as soon as we know them. Or maybe you watch this video at a later stage, and then you can just go to the Renault website and check out the prices yourself. And now check out the other small car competitors.